Fawn
and Matt. We're an interracial couple with 2 kids wanting to do something that highlights the power of friendship and what it means to be in the company of true friends. We're going to move our society away and out of the loneliness epidemic and into a friendlier, happier world. Welcome to our friendly world. Better, stronger, together.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to our friendly world. Hello.
Hello.
Doesn't it seem like the world has become a small town for sure, but with billions of people? How many people are on the planet? Do you know?
I want to say the U.S. has like 350 million.
But is the world in the billions or the trillions?
It's in the billions.
Okay, so...
But that kind of doesn't matter because we can kind of only hold like 100, 150 people in our heads.
That's exactly what I was going to say is I think part of what is going on is we are so connected to the billions that it's unnatural. No, it is. It's unnatural for our human bodied selves to grasp we don't have the capacity for that much empathy, for that much input, for that much information, I want to say.
Okay.
I mean, I do consider ourselves like supernatural in a way that what that means, what I mean by that is that we're infinite beings, infinite love. We have the capacity for infinite love. However, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, is the amount of information that we're exposed to. Not just lately. This is something I've been thinking about forever. And we've had, I think, a lot of doctors, scientists, other people who study this kind of thing say that we only have the capacity for a certain amount of people. That's why small tribes or small towns are more compassionate towards one another. Like, people in big cities, if someone falls on the ground or something happens to them, people tend to walk away and not help, thinking someone else will do it. And everyone is thinking someone else will do it, or I don't want to do it, or I don't, it's too much, whatever it may be. I remember hearing the story when I was a kid about, have you heard the story about a woman, I think it was in New York, who got stabbed like over 50 something times. Like, it was horrible, and no one called the police. All these people just let it happen. No one called the police. And I told myself, whoa, and I kind of understood that mentality because I grew up in a city. I was raised in a big city. So I understood that mentality, but I told myself when I heard that I will not let that happen. And one day in San Francisco, it was nighttime. I lived in it was San Francisco. I mean, come on. It was not the safest. And so I heard something terrible outside and I looked out the window. And to this day, when I think of that sound, when I replay it in my head, terrible things happen. Like it's just awful that humanity treats others. What am I trying to say? It's terrible that people do that to each other.
Right.
So what I did was I called the police. And because I was naive, because I was still a kid myself, barely 18, I called the police thinking they would help, especially because I said, please help. There are these 2 men. They asked me to describe the men involved. So I did the best I could. It was 2 white men beating up with a bat the skull of a black man. And I waited for the police to come, and I waited and I waited, and I think to myself, I'm always hearing sirens. Where are the police?
Right. And
as I got older, I always thought about it. I'm like, I shouldn't have said he was a black man being hurt. Who knows? Like, is that the reason they took their sweet time to get there?
Right.
And by the time they got there was nobody around. So anyway, I'm kind of digressing here, but I promised that I wouldn't allow for my empathy to be misused. And I feel like that's what's happening on I feel like it's happening on two levels. Just watching our kids who are highly empathetic, as are all humans, by the way, I think. Don't you think so?
Well, I think it gets kind of burned out of you depending on, where you live, how you live.
Maybe. Maybe. But I was going to say about our kids, and one kid in particular, their empathy is so high that they're so susceptible to whatever's going on social media. And this man that we were listening to was a brainwashing expert who was talking about
Scary person to listen to, by the way.
why.
Just, you're listening to somebody who knows how to brainwash and he's trying to convince you of things. Well, it's a little dangerous.
I know, but but don't you think what he said was valid?
Hmm?
What he said was, when you're looking at social media, there are things that will be shown to you that will capture your empathy. So
Right.
it'll get you to feel an emotion, a strong emotion, usually one that is empathetic, like you will start to cry or, really feel this other person.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next video will be the opposite. Is that what he said? Like, basically you see, like, how many videos did he say? 8 back to back. It takes you up, down, up, down, up, down. And by the 8th one, there's a commercial that will get you to buy something.
Oh, dear.
And because you go through that roller coaster of up and down, it leaves you susceptible to any input. Any input. And that's how they get you. And I feel like that's how they're getting these kids now to believe whatever they believe, or like dislike themselves for whatever reason, and all the trouble, all the anxiety, all the depression. I think this is one major thing that is contributing to that. Are you disagreeing?
Yes
with
and
me?
no, but
Wait,
I-
by the way, it brings about loneliness, which is where we're
right.
headed.
But I think the biggest problem with social media is not the emotional roller coaster, but it's the echo chamber it puts you in. The fact that it doesn't matter, as this guy even said, it doesn't matter what you believe. Flat earth, round earth, Trump is the devil, Trump is the angel of God. Doesn't matter what you believe, which side of the coin, they're going to amplify it.
He was saying that the amount of up, feeling down, feeling up, feeling down. He was saying that wave, up and down wave, creates in your brain susceptibility. Like you become hypnotized in a way.
Right. And they're using it for the most basic purposes. They're using it to sell a good product or
Yeah,
service.
but he was saying what's led to this loneliness epidemic, that the apps and advertising goals have two things to accomplish, which they do: to compare yourself to other people and to make you think that you are not enough, which then gets us into a mode of us versus them. And then he was talking about the confirmation bias, where because of, I guess, do you call it analytics? What do you call it when you look at a video and then more videos like that show up for you?
The algorithm is what they call it.
So when you look at something, and it could be a thought that's brought to you, but because you looked at that thought, and that thought could be maybe 1% of the population actually believes this thought, but then you're fed all these other thoughts that totally resemble this one crazy thought.
Right.
And I shouldn't say crazy, but one obscure thought, which then the way I think he was describing it as confirmation bias is that because all of a sudden you're shown all these other ways of this thought, like other people think exactly this way, then you think the whole world is thinking this way. So therefore, this is the whole world. And I think that's the dangerous part of where the kids are at these days, because they think this is the absolute fact. This is the absolute reality and nothing else.
Right. Yes. And there you go. And that's what I was saying. It's the echo chamber effect. I'm less concerned with selling toasters and more concerned with the echo chamber.
Right. And that's what he was saying as well. Not just about selling toasters. Which, by the way, he said because he's the leading expert in brainwashing techniques, and he said he falls for it.
Right.
So if he's falling for it, be very scared when he was saying be very scared when there's a product that doesn't have
That doesn't present an obvious solution.
right. And he brought up like what did he bring up like certain
He
products?
talked about DoorDash and Amazon.
They solve a problem.
You want to buy something, go to Amazon. You want to, or Walmart or
right.
wherever.
You don't have time to leave your house. You're doing all this work. The problem is solved by DoorDash coming to you. Problem solved. Right.
Bringing me food. Yes.
Right. But he mentioned all these other things that don't solve the problem. And what they're doing is people are hungry to get it.
They're not saying what problem that they solve.
They're not. But what they're doing is causing the loneliness epidemic.
What he was saying though, he was talking about, because honestly he doesn't quite understand, but he was talking about VR. He was talking about Apple's vision. He was talking about Meta's VR glasses, virtual reality glasses. And he was saying that what they were curing, possibly, because they're not saying what they're doing, they're not saying what the problem is that they're attempting to solve, but one of the things he believes they're attempting to solve is loneliness. It may just be that they're just solving boredom, but I think it depends on the person.
What they're doing is causing loneliness because...
Well, they're pretending to solve it so you'll buy it.
Right, but it's actually causing loneliness.
Well, it's going to reinforce the echo chamber. It's going to reinforce the not being around people.
So which brings us back to something or the thing that we have been talking about all along for years. And also taking it back to at the start of this podcast, we started talking about the tribe, right? We're only built to really look after
150, maybe.
150 people max. So that's why small towns, if someone stumbles, everyone's going to pull over and figure out what happened. Are you okay?
Well, I think there's more to it than just that. Honestly,
What do
I
you
think that, you're going to, again, echo chamber, but you're going to have positive echo chamber in that case, and negative in a big city. But like odds are somebody knows this person, knows of this person. This person is similar to somebody I know. And so I'm going to go out of my way to, try and find out what's going on.
I kind of want to disagree with you, Matt. When I was driving cross country and I was a kid, young, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was driving by myself and I was starting to feel like, I don't know where I am. I'm definitely away from the big city or all these small towns that I'm driving past on the freeway. And I was scared to take an exit.
Right.
Because I didn't know these small towns and I thought I would be mistreated. I was scared. So I didn't take an exit. So I pulled away on the shoulder where like cars pull over if they have car trouble, on the far right. I pulled over and I was just trying to collect myself. And immediately this car slowed down on the freeway and pulled up right behind me. And I was so scared, Matt. I was like, oh no. And this old lady pops out and she's coming towards my car. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, honey, are you all right? What can I do? Do you need help? Can I help you? I was blown away. Coming from a big city.
Right.
She didn't know me.
But did she recognize you?
No.
So she has never been stuck on the side of the road or had a child, grandchild, aunt, uncle, friend.
I thought what you were saying was you specifically know these people.
Right.
And I was
and in some
I was a
cases
total
you do,
stranger.
and in other cases it's just
So they have more
that's
empathy.
how the town
they
does.
have capacity for all the empathy, right?
Because
However,
they're not constantly being bombarded by new people.
right. So if that was in the tri-state area or something, right?
Okay.
Or in LA, no one would do that. You're on your own.
Right, more or less.
Call AAA.
Yep.
That's what I was saying.
Yes. And I think by and large you are right, but it's just there's a different levels of recognition and different pace, and also it's not socially acceptable to ignore somebody like that. when you're in a smaller community, I think. So again, you're looking at the social rules.
You're more accountable for your actions.
You
So,
are,
yeah. So if you
absolutely.
ignore someone that's hurting, wow.
Well, yeah, case in point. I'm not going to say the names, but there was somebody who was beloved who passed away. People donated for a bench to be done in his honor, and one guy said he was going to and didn't. Well, he's mud forever in this town.
Because everybody knows who does what.
Because everybody knows this guy. Everybody knows him by reputation. Everybody knows what he said, and his name is now mud.
Right.
And that's what it is. As opposed to in a big city, you don't know me. I don't know you.
No one's going to really check, maybe. Yeah. Who's going to keep tabs on things, right? Nobody's paying attention. You don't even know your neighbors.
Right.
You never see them even.
Right.
And you share one wall. You never see them.
Or you don't even share, you share a fence.
So we all agree then. It's because there's too much input. There's too many things. There's too much news. There's just too many things. And it also works in what we feed our bodies, right? What causes disease in the body when the body can't recognize all these foreign things coming into it. I'm talking about chemicals and things like that. And what this guy was saying, this brainwashing guy, was it's whatever your ancestors couldn't recognize, then it's trouble for your body,
and
right?
I've talked about this before too, yeah.
Remind.
There was a girl who was First Nation, whose people survived partially on whale blubber, and she went off to school in like the Midwest, and she got sick. And it was because there was no whale blubber in her diet. Are you kidding me? But that was the problem. And she came back home. She had got well right away.
Right.
It's a weird world, but your body's changed to be able to digest these things. The Norse people, my people, they all drink milk. Well, milk's not a natural thing, but cow's milk is what I'm talking about. Is not a natural thing, but rates for allergies to cow's milk are much lower in Scandinavian people because that's all they had oftentimes to eat and drink.
So are you okay being vegan for all these years?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, I worry.
I mean, every once in a while I want to have a dragon steak or something, but what are you going to do?
Are you serious?
Dragon, yes, I'm very serious.
Oh, you guys, I went to the best restaurant a few weeks ago and I had vegan steak. It was amazing.
Anyways.
Okay, sorry. Digress.
Yes.
So mental and physical input all this is contributing even further to this loneliness epidemic. And it's so funny now that everyone is using that term, loneliness epidemic. And when we started talking about it years ago, it's like, how dare you, So what do we do? What we do is hunker down. No, but like I say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Start realizing that the world really is a small town and take care of your little piece of it.
Yeah. I mean, and I was going to say, remember a few weeks ago, I was like, I need to be in the basement. I don't want to talk to nobody. Leave me alone. I needed to collect myself, right?
Right.
Too much input.
Right.
I was short circuiting. And I kind of feel that way again today. Like I need to be quiet. I need to be still. Like, everyone's always telling you, you better work out. You better move. It's like, no, I need to be still. Thank you. Under the covers with a pillow. Thank you very much. Right? I do. Why are you looking at me like that?
No, I've just been having a challenging weekend myself because I told myself I would take this weekend and relax. And I have to constantly tell myself, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay that you're not doing 20,000 things.
Yeah. We've talked about this a lot.
It's a weird world, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Welcome to, parent guilt also. Like you always feel like you're not doing enough. No matter what you're doing, no matter how many thousands of things you're taking care of, It's still, you feel like it's never enough. Do you feel that way?
Oftentimes.
It's terrible. And I'm laughing because I don't know what to do. And we've talked about this so many times, but here we are. We're reminding each other that slowing down is incredibly important. It's like driving a car at mad speed. You know, you can get into an accident. Just calm down. Actually, you shouldn't tell someone to calm down like that. But, just don't worry about slowing down. Slowing down is okay. It's needed. You need to. Who knows? There could be some crazy ice you're not even aware of. Slow down.
True.
Yeah, being in the present and just, it's okay. It's okay not to strive for this greatness. I think to achieve the greatness, you have to move slowly. So you can notice the trifles that Matt always talks about, paying attention to the trifles. The great martial artists always told you, pay attention to trifles. It's the small things. It's the micro gestures a person is using that will let you know everything that is going on. Paying attention to that.
Definitely true.
Being the witness.
And did you know you could set limits on your social apps? On your computer, you can say, hey, stop after such and such a time.
Can we do that with our kids' stuff without them knowing?
Not without them knowing, but we can do it.
Can you do it?
We can talk about it. Absolutely.
I think we should do it.
Okay, then. Set some limits. Enforce some limits.
Yeah. And that's it. Is that it?
I think so.
Can I just repeat something a friend told me? That feelings don't make things fact.
Right.
So these kids right now are feeling these things. They're feeling horrible, horrible ways. It doesn't make it fact.
Right.
And be careful, because people are using compassion against you. They're using your empathy against you. Think about how your empathy is being used as a weapon. You're an empathetic person. Listening to this, everyone who listens to our show is highly empathetic. Be aware of how your empathy is being used to have you believe whatever their propaganda wants you to believe. That's what I've been struggling with. So I thought I'd pass that along.
Sounds good. And remember, be a good host. We're all living in a small town. Pay attention and be kind.
Love you. Have a beautiful every day.
Be well.